Admiral Marcus aboard the Resolute-class battlecruiser Endeavour, outer orbit of Vega Prime System. Are you sure this will work, Doctor? Admiral Marcus's voice carried a mixture of skepticism and hope, a rare combination for a man usually so sure of himself. Theoretically, yes, replied Dr. Lin, her tone steady but her eyes betraying a flicker of doubt. The weight of responsibility was heavy on her shoulders, knowing that the success of this mission depended on untested science and precise execution. Theoretically, Marcus echoed, raising an eyebrow. In his experience, theoretical often meant uncharted territory, which meant risk and potential disaster in military operations. Well, no one I know of has ever tried to accelerate a large cloud of titanium rods using the accretion disk of a black hole several dozen light-years away, and then make them fly through an alien technology warp gate at exactly the right time and the right angles. So, theoretically, hopefully, yes, Dr. Lin explained, her voice filled with scientific jargon that underscored the experimental nature of their endeavor. Marcus sighed, his mind racing through the scenarios. Just never mind. The brass heads have to trust the scientists for once, I guess. How thoughtful of you to trust us, Lin responded with a wry smile, trying to lighten the tension. Countdown. 6 minutes, sir. Gate charged and standing by. The officer's response was crisp. Well, it's either going to be spectacular or very boring, Doctor. I suggest you find a seat and buckle up. Marcus's attempt at nonchalance couldn't hide his underlying concern. Sound advice, Admiral, Lin nodded, feeling the adrenaline surge as she strapped herself into her seat. Admiral Marcus to fleet. T-minus 60 seconds to enemy contact. If they show up at the target coordinates, we will be in for a hell of a hailstorm in 30 seconds or a very, very brutal fight. Marcus out. Admiral to gate. What is the status of the warp gate? Warp gate online, 100% green. Thrusters ready. Targeting systems linked and ready. Gate on target vector, sir. Our Vega representative says the quantum stabilizer's coils are hot. The plasma oscillators are oscillating perfectly, and so on and so forth, sir. Or as close as our translation pad can tell me. Confirm it's not upside down. The gate is facing the right way, sir. The Admiral checked his watch, the seconds ticking away in sync with his growing anticipation. Excellent work, Commander. Marcus to fleet. T-minus 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There is no sound in space, but as Admiral Marcus watched the enemy fleet appear, small flashes of light and radiation in the distance, he was reminded of the sound effects from the sci-fi media shows of his youth.
Contacts. 16 enemy supercapitals. 22 capitals.
Detecting numerous small ships disengaging, the sensor officer shouted, his voice tense with urgency. Countdown. 5 seconds, sir. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Admiral Marcus looked over at Dr. Lin, who merely shrugged, a hint of resignation in her eyes. -2, 3, 4, 5. The warp gate shimmered as a single gray blur flashed toward the approaching enemy fleet. A second shimmer, a third, and by the fourth, the first needle had found a new home buried deep within the hull of an enemy ship. And then the small thermonuclear device inside it detonated. A fifth shimmer as the second found its home. A sixth shimmer as the third found a home. Small atomic explosions blossomed throughout the enemy fleet as the rods compressed as they plunged through armor and bulkheads, setting off the fissile material inside. By the time the 12th rod exited the warp gate, the enemy fleet had lost half a dozen of its supercapitals and a dozen smaller capital ships to the rapid nuclear discharge and resulting explosions. Another dozen were damaged or severely crippled, and hundreds of the smaller fighters had also been knocked out. Marcus to gate. Shut it down. Gate here. Shutting down. Go get them, sir. Marcus to fleet. Move in and engage at will. An excellent result, Admiral, Dr. Lin said, her eyes moving from screen to screen as she analyzed the results and data feeds from the test firing of the new superweapon. I think there's a little room for improvement, but it's an effective weapon when the math is right. There seem to be a few seconds unaccounted for, but that may be due to unforeseen time dilation effects of the black hole's gravity on the warp gate or the underlying subspace fabric. Write it up, Doc, but sit back and enjoy the physics. or whatever you scientists do in battle. Tactical, distance to target, 2,000 kilometers, and closing, sir. Weapons green. Fire at will. The battle was short, brutal, and otherwise unexciting. The enemy fleet, a marauding splinter group of the not-so-friendly but not quite enemies, the Xener species, did not fare well as their functional warships found themselves outnumbered 2-1 by the major combat elements of the Celestial Republic's Sixth Fleet and the surviving Vega Royal Home Guard fleet that had escaped previous encounters with the Marauders. Despite their earlier losses, the Vega ships fought with renewed vigor, fueled by the promise of revenge and their newfound alliance with the humans. A small number of Xener starfighters took the opportunity to escape, but both human gunboats and Vega corvettes were in hot pursuit. The smaller ships darted through the debris field, systematically picking off the fleeing fighters. The precision and efficiency of their maneuvers spoke volumes about the training and discipline of the combined forces. The marauding fleet had been defeated, though some casualties had been incurred, mostly minor injuries and simple hull damage. The success of the new tactic would merit increased attention from the brass back home and quite a bit of public fanfare. News of the victory and the innovative use of warp gate technology would undoubtedly spread quickly, boosting morale and reinforcing the Celestial Republic's strategic superiority. And humanity had gained a new ally, the Vega, with their warp gate technology. It was time to establish some new bases on newly friendly soil and send in the politicians. Discussions were already underway to establish joint operations and research facilities. The Vega, impressed by the humans' ingenuity and fighting prowess, seemed eager to deepen their cooperation. As the battlefield cleared, the Admiral took a moment to reflect on the implications of their victory. The tactical use of the warp gate had not only secured a decisive victory, but also demonstrated the potential of integrating alien technology into their military strategy. This battle would be studied for years to come, a case study in the successful fusion of different technological advances. Within days, elements of the Republic's Logistics Command had arrived, towing a brand new space station to be placed in orbit around Vega Prime. The station would serve as a hub for both military and diplomatic activities, a symbol of the burgeoning alliance. Admiral Marcus found Dr. Lin in her newly appointed office, surrounded by data feeds and holographic displays. "So, Doc, how's that report coming?" Marcus asked, a rare note of humor in his voice. Admiral, it's excellent. I've been running some simulations, and I think we'll be able to account for the slight delay in future operations. I won't bore you with the details, but it's a truly spectacular number of pages worth of math. I'll take your word for it. Oh, and Doctor, good work. And you as well, Admiral. I suppose we are both due for dinner with Senator Clark tonight. I heard he arrived a few hours ago. Yep, dinner with Clark, his entourage, and a whole banquet hall full of Vega down on the planet, Marcus replied, rolling his eyes slightly. You sound like you're not looking forward to it, Doctor. I am a military man. Out of principle, and because it's damn near written into the military code book, I have to hate this kind of thing. But I hear the Vega have something strangely similar to ribeye steak. Ribeye steak, you say? Lynn's eyes lit up with interest. Yeah, some sort of herd animal that just happens to be similar to our own beef cattle. Well, it has 6 legs and more than a few eyes, scales, and spits acid like a llama. But does it taste like ribeye? Lynn pressed, her curiosity piqued. That's all I needed to know, said Lynn, already imagining the feast. Who's driving? Marcus asked. Clark came in on a gilded senatorial shuttle and enough booze to quench the fleet. Wants to make Vega a protectorate, or is it give a protectorate? Marcus mused, his tone dripping with irony. For ribeye steak, woe to any foe that stands between man and a good steak, Lynn declared dramatically, raising an imaginary sword. Do we need a better reason? Bring your black tie, document. We shuttle out at 1600. I've already loaded an ammo box with salt and pepper, Marcus said. Ketchup on good steak, Doctor. What if they have potatoes? You should definitely get some butter, Lynn countered with a broad grin. As they prepared to leave, Marcus stopped and looked at Lynn. You know, Doc, after all we've been through, it's moments like this that remind me why we fight. For the little things, like a good steak and good company. Lynn nodded, her expression softening. To many more victories, Admiral, and many more stakes.